joined today by Martijn de Wever, who is a founder and CEO of a venture capital firm, Force Over Mass, but also a founder and CEO of a startup ecosystem called Floww. And there's a science and a madness behind this method is why he did that. So Martijn, tell me a little bit more again about why it is you have this other ecosystem that seems to be connected, am I mistaken, to Force Over Mass?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, like most startups, you kind of see a problem and you want to find a solution for it. And unlike, I guess, a lot of entrepreneurs, they start a tech company, and then at one point they realize, okay, I want to join a VC firm. I did it the other way around. I initially started a VC firm and immediately quite saw an opportunity that there is quite a clunkiness between the communication between startups and VCs. And there's a lot of other problems actually that live within that ecosystem. And took my time actually to think about that, to start a SaaS platform and technology ecosystem play where we could really hone into that problem in a communication layer. And that is what Floww does. Floww does a lot of different things, so I could highlight many aspects actually of the platform. But the key thing that we want to achieve with the platform is that we move to a more merit-based investing, where we move a little bit more to a more transparent world, where it is a little bit less about knowing the right person and being exactly at the right time in front of that VC. We had to get to a system where anybody could actually get access to VCs. And not just the people that happen to know a person within a VC firm. And how we did that is by honing into the problem. Like most startups, you gotta first find that problem and define your solution actually for that. And what happens to be the case is that this referral system that exists in VCs is simply there because of a capacity issue on their end. So think about it, a VC receives hundreds of applications and startups that want to be seen and reviewed by them, and that clogs up the pipe. And every VC, they have their analysts actually sitting there reviewing these opportunities, and they can't handle that the sheer volume of companies that actually want to be in front of them. So they say, okay, we need some first kind of error filter. We need to put something in place to have some first line of defense of actually making sure that we review the companies that fit our mandate. Now, because they do this on a case-by-case basis, they basically say, okay, we do it on a case-by-case basis. There are so many hours in a week that we can spend on this. What we do is we need warm referrals before you can actually enter the first entry points of actually entering VC. So what we said is that we need to take take that unclog the pipe. Maybe a little bit Dutch, the clock, a bit of a Dutch word, but unclog the pipe actually there and make that flow a little bit more easily, that relationship between startups and VCs. So there are different applications. There are applications for the VC where you can do a lot of different kind of things, which is in connection to the application of the startup, and the startup can say, okay, I want that VC to have a look at my company. He drags and drops this information in there. We check it with real accountants so that we actually have a consistent picture of that startup. And because it's already pre-processed and checked and validated, we make them look good. It's a beautifully designed application. And then the VC sees that incoming into his application and can already make a judgment call that, okay, this is in a sector that I'm looking at. This is in a stage that fits my mandate. So we make that process a lot easier. Now, it goes a lot further than that because the VC has a lot of other things to worry about, which is distracting actually from the fun stuff of a VC, which is actually sitting down with startups. They have to deal with fund administration, which is in many cases just not something that they enjoy doing. They have to deal with reporting on how these companies are actually doing. The startup also has to deal with reporting. So we take all that burden away and so that the VC and the startup can focus on what they like to focus on most. And that is just building incredible businesses for the startup side, and for the VC is investing in these fantastic businesses.
Yeah. Wow. You know, it's funny.
I
know that a lot. No, but I know that a lot of people probably have a business here that does that in a business. But you were one of the first people I've talked to who said, you know what, there's an opportunity here where we can set it up where we win on both sides. We can have this and we get to streamline the way it's run and introduced to us. And then on
Yeah.
the other end, we
Yeah.
still get to do all the fun things. That makes a lot of sense. I like that. Now,
Yeah.
how did you become this type of person that is able to see an opportunity like this? Who are you? Where have you always been? Are you from a family of entrepreneurs, or how does this work?
Well, there are quite a few entrepreneurs in my family, so that obviously helps. I grew up with a father working for IBM, building computers and Space Invaders, like many other
Really?
entrepreneurs, I guess, out there. I didn't follow in his footsteps. I became a trader in London. An exciting game actually, in derivatives and bonds, and I didn't blow up the world, I promise. I did help clean it up a little bit. But that entrepreneurial bug was always in me. I had a game in development, a couple of other things, and wanted to actually set up a tech company. But I saw an opportunity in the VC business. I want to create a little bit more transparency VC structure. So I did that first, and I learned a lot actually about that ecosystem and how all these relationships between startups and incubators and VCs and universities and other players in the market, how they all interact and where the friction points are. And I guess that quality, or if you can call it quality, but that is what entrepreneurs do, right? So they see something and they go for it. And then without fear, just go in and try to solve that problem. Take your time, make sure that you have the right team around you that support you with that, and the right investors that support you in that vision. But that's how I got started. And I think you just have to do things, right? So just go for it and build your business. And that's how I started one business, and then I started Floww with that same spirit of just getting it done, right? Yeah.
Wow. So you have a background in trading and
Yeah.
derivatives, and then
Yeah.
that definitely lends itself to making you primed for someone who then looks at companies and just determines, is this a company I want to invest in? Because that same mindset, that same skill set is about looking at whether this is a good bet or not, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a bet.
Yeah, very true. I think there's some form of pattern recognition when we make investments. But the interesting bit is, it's on the one side, the pattern recognition can manifest itself into points that we can measure. A lot of the things that we communicate on Floww as well are measurable points, which could be financials. But there is also this fuzzy logic around the human element, which I find very important, and we try to capture that as well. Because in the end of the day, when we interact with people, we make a judgment call, and that is the role of the VC as well. They make a judgment call: is this the team that is going to do what they're set out to do? Can I actually do this? Do they have the right skill set in place? Do they have the right conditions and the right team, and etc. And that pattern recognition, is very much what a lot of traders do as well. So there is a lot of skill sets that are highly transferable from the world of trading to a world of VC, and especially it was very, very useful skill actually to have that for building Floww, because the way the infrastructure actually works, there's a lot of parallels actually to an infrastructure that you would see in the world of trading. And I do think that that is where eventually we would like to contribute, that we not only contribute actually in transparency, but we also contribute in liquidity. Because in the end of the day, if we can get more money actually channeled into this space, more money into innovation, I think it's good for everyone. So that's definitely the mission statement that my personal mission statement that I put in place for 10 years to achieve. But it's been fun so far, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What a goal to set. And I imagine this, what would it take if I was a company and I said, wow, I love what Floww is doing. I love what Force Over Mass does and the companies they choose. What would I have to do as a company to become someone that is funded by Force Over Mass and screened through Floww?
The only thing that people have to do now is just register at flow.io. That is what we set out to do, right? So that is what we set out to do. And when they register, it's all drag and drop. One of the things I hate is that if you get asked to fill in a hell of a lot of stuff, So we made it very, very easy and straightforward. You can drag a whole financial model in there. We look for all the mistakes with the accountants and find them, and we apply something like 800 different rules just to find mistakes so that you don't have those mistakes in the data when you have that first conversation with the VC, right? So it saves you actually of making a mistake and making sure that you look good. It's our task to make the startup look good. So that is what we're doing, where we want startups to be funded and we want startups to be in front of the right VCs. And the same counts actually for VCs. VCs can take, from next week, we have a free account for the VC as well. So there are free accounts for both sides. I wish I could run everything completely for free, because I think it's good for the community and the ecosystem. But at least in this way, we can hopefully do a lot actually for free, that both these parties can actually communicate more efficiently together. And data security is important for us, right? So we said, okay, no, the startup has to be control who they share that data with. And if that relationship doesn't work out, he can stop that sharing of that data, or he can continue if he has received an investment and go into that reporting cycle where he showcases to an investor, hey, this is how I'm progressing with the company. Because that's a whole other side of the equation that we could now actually capture with the application that we built.
Wow. No, I 100% understand where you're going with that and the implications of it, because you do find that there's a game being played where there's a lot of things that are funded, but it may not be on performance. But if you could highlight the data and segment it, who are the top performers, and funnel more money that way into that direction, the implications are huge.
Yeah, what is important to note there, we want people to succeed, right? So we're not going to rank startups or anything like that. It's all the personal, what we make possible is the personal relationship of one startup with the VC community. So we do anonymized data to help actually that ecosystem so that we can start providing benchmark information to all parties, right? But as well to the startup, because the startup needs to learn actually, where am I? Compared to the rest of the market. But we will never actually share information if a party doesn't want that information to be shared. And that principle around sharing of information to the right parties is not only between the relationship of a startup to the VC, but as well as between the VC and the LP. Because sometimes information won't be shared, and you want to have that flexibility actually to decide who sees what at any point in time. So it's very much around, it's around, it does take into account that secrecy of data that's so important in this ecosystem. It is everybody is part of an ecosystem, but people want to do their own deals and they want to be secret about it, and sometimes they want to collaborate or not. So we had a lot of thought actually about how this collaboration should actually play out, and how to actually grease that engine so that money flows a little bit easier. Yeah.
I can tell a lot of work went into determining all the things it's basically the dream system. If I wanted to start a business and get it funded, because it's that kind of business, this is exactly the system I'm looking for. And it sounds like you're not stopping there. There are continuous innovations and improvements you're adding to your platform. Is that what you're focused on for the trajectory of what you're doing next? Is continually innovating this process, or are there other things on the horizon?
Yeah, so we have this relationship, and as a joke, we call the triangle. It's just an internal joke we have. We work a lot with circles already, but it's a full platform based around the circular language, which works really, really well to spot opportunities, and that's how things offered. Do you have a connection problem?
Yeah, we have a connection problem just as you started getting into it. So I'll just run it back again, and then I'm sure the editor can pick it up from there. And yeah, we have a connection problem. Let's see. Yeah, okay, there you are. Okay, so is that what's on the trajectory now, or do you have like just innovating on the platform, or do you have other projects on the horizon?
Now I'm fully focused on innovation on this platform, and it is, like I said, I have my personal 10-year goal, so the first aspect is actually of getting this ecosystem play in place. So within this ecosystem, it's not only VCs that we are talking to. We're talking to R&D facilities, universities, incubators, and accelerators, and they're all part of this wider ecosystem. And they all should be able to connect very easily with each other with the right data. Now, once we have actually achieved that, we already are started working on the next phase. And the next phase is not only the transparency layer, but to solve, hopefully, that liquidity layer. And to make it much more about a transaction platform, so that it's not only transmission actually of data that I do in a secure way and in a way that my business is understood, but it is as well that at one point these companies may want to take a few chips off the table. So there's a lot of founders that sit on a huge amount of stock, for instance, and the secondary market hasn't really been resolved yet. There is a functioning secondary market very late stage, but in the early stages, the secondary market doesn't seem to work. And that kind of reminds me of the bond market that I used to come from, because there are millions and millions of bonds out there. And that bond market is actually functioning because you have all these different trading rooms and dealing rooms in the world where you have parties actually helping actually with that guided sell to the investor and explaining which bonds they should buy or not. So the architecture that we build actually plays in a similar way. So it's a bit decentralized, don't get confused with blockchain or anything, but it is this bit decentralized that we allow anyone who's on the platform in the future to start running auctions on what investments they have put their investors in. So in this way, we can have that guided sell when we start creating this liquidity at the later stage. That is all late 2021 and onwards music. So we're still focusing very much on those relationships between the VC, startups, accelerators, incubators, angel networks, and etc., and making that perfect and that customer experience very, very nice.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you're going to have a very busy year coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, that's exciting. Yeah, I can already think of some people I might want to introduce you to just in general. I love connecting people, especially because they have accelerator programs.
Wicked. Yeah.
But outside of that, I really like where you're going with this, and I like the things that you're doing. My question is, how do you prefer? Do you prefer to be reached out personally, like or do you want people to go to Floww.io, like you said, first and put their business information there?
And they can do both. I love entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I can really sympathize with that journey. I've seen it from both sides. So having set up a VC firm and a technology company gives you that dual aspect and the dual angle of seeing it from both these perspectives. So people always have questions on that. I'm always willing to help. So if they want to reach out personally, they can always drop me a line, Martijn@Floww.io. And I will always get back actually to them and give my 2 cents on the problems that they may be facing. It's a journey, right? So running a startup, it's a journey. It has its ups and downs. It's an incredibly difficult thing actually to do. If anybody says it's easy, they're probably in week 3 of the startup. It gets incredibly complicated. You need all the support you can get, and I'm definitely a person that was always willing to help when it comes to that. If they want funding and want to be registered, of course, register at Floww. At Floww.io, and if you have any problems, you can always reach out to me, and I'll definitely help them. Yeah.
Now, it sounds like you run a huge team, because I imagine, you've got the VC company, and then you have the actual startup. So you have to play a role where you're overseeing at some level. How do you manage all that? Do you have a process?
Well, you do. Yeah. I think we all. I think we all basically start shaving off minutes in the morning. You have your consistency, and in the morning, you know exactly when do I turn that light switch off. It's madness. But I think every entrepreneur has some kind of obsessive personality, and it has to be innate, definitely. So I have a very consistent way of when do I get up, what do I do? I do my exercise and etc. And I try to be very efficient in my meetings that I have to get through the day, and to get with those energy levels. I think energy preservation and management as an entrepreneur is incredibly important, and to keep that clear mindset as well. The meditation bit, I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm not patient enough actually to get there. I am working on it. It's definitely something I want to get more into it, so that you can become a little bit more consistent. I hear very good stories about that, but it's just a bit of consistency and keep enjoying what you do. I think that's one of the key things.
Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, meditation is really just about getting into flow. I mean, you literally started a company that's called Flow. So I imagine to some degree, you've got the flow under control.
I got it. I don't need it anymore, right? So yeah.
Are you active on social media? Is that something that you do at all, like LinkedIn or anything like that?
A little bit. I try to do. I should do it. It's one of the things I should make more of a habit on, to be more on that. It's one of the first things actually that I don't have any time for, and then I put it aside. So personally, I don't think I've posted anything in a very long time, and that's simply because I put my mind on things and just crack on with it. But I would like to do a little bit more, spend a bit more time on it, and especially now that we're rolling it out to so many different users, I want to hear how people are using it and feedback, and there are always things that can be improved. 100%, the system is always evolving. Yeah. I want to be in touch actually with the user base. That's for me very important, and social channels are obviously the best way actually to do that. Yeah.
Maybe Q4 of 2021, you'll actually have some time then. No, so that's good to know. So then, I guess,
social channels,
So Martijn at Floww.com, you said, is where people can reach you best.
Floww.io.
Floww.io.
Martijn at Floww.io. Yeah, they can reach me best there, and then you can find me on Twitter and
that's MARTIJN at Floww FLOWW.io, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well,
it's a Dutch name,
Yeah, no, I love it. Like I said, I took the time to make sure I could say it right. Let's see.
I truly appreciate that.
Let's make sure I can. So the last name is De Wever, right? So Martijn de Wever.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Listen, it's been such a long time ago that anybody pronounced my name correctly, so I'm very pleased with that.
No, man, it's definitely. Look, I've never left the country, so I have to have even more respect for just being an American. I have to have more respect for the world outside and what that looks like, and respecting those cultures, because for a long time, I know how everybody has been gradually seeing America in the face that we've had as it's changed over time, and maybe the business world looks at it differently. But from a PR standpoint, from human to human, I think it's more important that Americans make a bigger effort to understand the world outside, because America is not everything and all things. It's a big world out there, and I hope to one day be able to see it. And if I do, I hope one day I can get to meet you in person and have some coffee or something.
Oh, listen, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of all Americans. I love that drive and attitude, and I'll be spending, hopefully when the plane starts flying again, I'll be spending a little bit more time in the States. This is obviously a product that is very much focused on that side of the world. Venture capital space is the US has been leading in that, and we're making a big push in the US and starting in Q1. Indeed, I would love to grab a coffee anytime. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Martijn, man, I honestly wish we had even more time than this to really go in deeper, because I wanted to learn more about who you are as a person and how that's informed the companies that you've started. And maybe that's a chance for a second conversation. As it stands now, it's been an absolute pleasure. Seriously.
Yeah, and thank you very much for having me. It's it's a joy. It's a joy talking about these different products and talking with entrepreneurs and etc. So anytime, I'll pop on the show again.
Yeah. Oh, and I actually, before I go, there's a ritual I have. It has to be done. A question to you at this point and stage in your life, with everything that you've done, your business, is there any one single person, because you never know who's listening, is there any single one person, or by name or trade, that you would love to meet that could either take things to the next level or you're just a big fan of?
I've always been a fan of Jack Dorsey. That's is one of those people that I think is such a legend. But yeah, you asked for it.
I love it. No,
so next
okay.
time,
Yeah.
next time, right?
Yes.
Coffee.
Next time.
Exactly.
We'll find a way to make this
next
happen.
time, coffee.
No,
Yeah,
Martijn.
right.
So thank you so much again for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of the week.